Modafinil, a field guide. What is modafinil? Common and brand names: Provigil, Modavigil, Modafinil, Nuvigil. Effects classification: Stimulant, wakefulness promoter, narcolepsy treatment. Chemical name: benzhydryl sulfonyl acetamide. Description: Modafinil is a mild central nervous system stimulant used in the treatment of fatigue and sleepiness. It is approved in the United States for the treatment of narcolepsy. Modafinil is the isolated active R stereoisomer. Modafinil is a racemic mix of both stereoisomers. Modafinil has been classified as a eudoroic, which means it promotes wakefulness and prevents you from feeling tired. It was discovered in France in the mid-1970s and released as a pharmaceutical drug in 1994 under the brand name Modiodal. Modafinil is used to treat sleep-related illnesses like narcolepsy, where people fall asleep during the day, and shift work sleep disorder, where people struggle to sleep because they are working night shifts. It's also sometimes prescribed to people in demanding jobs who need to stay awake for extended periods, such as commercial aviators. While that's all very interesting, it's probably not the reason why you're interested in modafinil. You've probably heard that it's a smart drug, study drug, or nootropic, and you'd be right, it does offer numerous cognitive benefits. You see, when you take modafinil as a nootropic, you can generally expect things like the insane focus for 12+ hours, improved cognition, better memory retention, higher productivity, inability to feel fatigued. Modafinil is extremely popular with type A high achievers like entrepreneurs, CEOs, and students who want to experience the superhuman levels of focus and enhanced memory that this smart drug offers. If you're curious about how modafinil offers these incredible benefits, the short answer is that it floods your brain with huge amounts of histamine and dopamine. This creates a stimulant effect. The histamine keeps you wired and productive for literally hours. After you take modafinil, it's almost impossible to feel fatigued, even if you are doing complex, tedious, or repetitive work. Most of modafinil's cognitive benefits come from the extra dopamine. This important neurotransmitter gives your mood and memory a phenomenal boost, making it much easier to work and study effectively. As a study drug, one of modafinil's most helpful effects is that it dulls a specific part of the brain, the amygdala. This has a significant effect. It reduces your sensitivity to fear stimuli and helps you work and study even if you are feeling stressed or under a considerable amount of pressure. And we're not only speaking from our experience here. Modafinil's effectiveness as a smart drug is supported by numerous scientific studies published in peer-reviewed medical journals. Modafinil side effects and safety. Modafinil is considered a safe drug when used to treat patients with narcolepsy and has been utilized for almost 30 years. However, it possesses a series of side effects, some of which have still not been fully researched and remain little understood. One study asked participants to take 200 mg of modafinil to see what side effects they would experience. The most commonly reported side effects were a dry mouth, dry throat, mild anxiety, headaches, and nausea, 13. However, these side effects were quite mild and subsided within 24 hours. So, if you consider taking modafinil off prescription or off-label as a nootropic, you should be prepared to experience some of these side effects. Based on the data, they shouldn't be a major concern if you take the recommended dose of 100 to 200 mg. It should be noted that many users report using choline to reduce or eliminate most of these minor modafinil side effects. Staying hydrated also helps combat headaches and a dry mouth and throat. We should also point out that modafinil is rarely used off-label as an everyday smart drug. We like to take it 1 or 2 times per week or on days when we don't need to cram for an exam or crush our workload. It is not a replacement for sleep. When we first started, we went with a 100 mg dose by taking it first thing in the morning to see how our bodies would respond before building up to a higher 200 mg dose. We have always avoided taking more than this or using the drug too frequently. Research shows that modafinil doesn't tend to cause dependence issues. It has not been shown to be an addictive substance. Users won't likely experience any withdrawal symptoms when discontinuing modafinil use. That being said, in rare instances, and at extremely high doses, 300 mg plus, modafinil can cause effects like hypersexuality, chest pain, fever, hallucinations. Stop taking modafinil immediately if you experience any of these and seek medical assistance. How to take modafinil effectively. Tips and tricks. Curious about how to take modafinil effectively? We find there's nothing to it. Our 16 quick tips below have consistently helped us to get the most out of the smart drug, all while minimizing potential side effects. The perfect dose. We are not medical professionals, yet the key to getting the most out of modafinil is finding the perfect dose. Our ideal dose is between 100 to 200 mg per day. When we were new to modafinil, we started with 100 mg. Because we felt comfortable with modafinil's effects at 100 mg, we then moved to 200 mg for our subsequent modafinil days. Some people prefer taking just 100 mg of modafinil, a practice known as microdosing modafinil. Others need 200 mg to feel anything. Several members of our team have experimented with taking 300 mg of modafinil but reported few additional benefits in terms of focus and productivity compared with taking 200 mg doses of the smart drug. Everybody's different, so you'll want to consider your own biology as there's no universal perfect dose. Split dosing. We've found that one of the best ways to take modafinil is by split dosing throughout the day. Essentially, you use a pill splitter and cut a 200 mg modafinil tablet into halves or fourths. We might take 50 to 100 mg in the morning right after breakfast. Then we'll work for 4-6+ hours. We'll eat lunch, then take another 50 to 100 mg of modafinil. This allows us to work another 4-6+ hours without losing focus. By split dosing modafinil, many users find the effects of modafinil are more stable and predictable. It's usually cheaper to buy modafinil online in 200 mg pills and then cut them into 100 mg doses, if that's how you prefer to take the smart drug. This pill cutter works well to split modafinil. Time things right. We'd be foolish to take modafinil in the afternoon and expect to get the full benefits of the smart drug, unless we were looking to pull an all-nighter. When we're going to use modafinil, we make sure to wake up early and consume the nootropic as early as possible. Due to modafinil's half-life, the effects of the nootropic can last up to 15 hours. So if you wake up at 7 a.m. and pop a modafinil, the effects should kick in by around 8 to 9 a.m. This should let you work until 11 p.m. that evening. That's a whole lot of productive time. Overall, one of our most important modafinil rules is this. We always take this smart drug in the morning. Forget about sleep. Sleeping and modafinil don't exactly get along well. Think about it, modafinil was created as a wakefulness agent designed to keep people with sleep disorders awake all day long. If you're planning to take modafinil, understand that it may mess with your regular sleep schedule. It's rare to fall asleep before midnight, even when taking modafinil early in the morning. Of course, it all depends on one's modafinil tolerance, the dosage, and what time you normally sleep. Some users have no issues falling asleep at 10 p.m. after taking modafinil in the morning, while others can't get to sleep until 2 to 3 a.m. the next morning. This is why we so often see new users start by taking just 100 mg of modafinil early in the morning. Remember to eat. It's tough, but we always remind ourselves to eat after taking modafinil. The smart drug can act as an appetite suppressant. As such, we rarely feel any hunger pangs while using the nootropic. We make a conscious effort to remember to eat when using this smart drug. This means sticking to our typical meal schedule even if we don't feel hungry. We eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the same time we normally do and try to eat similar amounts. This helps us minimize certain side effects of modafinil, such as headaches and nausea. Many users who experience stomach issues and nausea when taking modafinil find that it's due to one reason: not eating food when taking this smart drug. Drink plenty of water. Just like food, we sometimes forget to drink enough water while using modafinil. There's a good chance we're engulfed in our work and forget about the need to quench our thirst. This is commonplace for many modafinil users. They become so focused on their work that they forget to drink enough water during the day. Their mouth becomes bone dry, and by the time they realize how dehydrated they are, they've already developed a headache. We keep a gallon of water by our desk when taking modafinil. We try to down a glass every hour or so. If taking modafinil, we try to drink some Pedialyte with our final meal of the day. This greatly helps with hydration. By staying hydrated when using modafinil, we can easily ward off many of the most common side effects of modafinil. We always look to keep the fluids flowing when using this smart drug. Pay attention to tolerance. Some people like to take modafinil every single day. While this may provide some sustained cognitive benefits, it is certainly not something we would do. While modafinil doesn't appear to be addictive, it is a strong prescription drug. As such, it's important to be aware that your body can develop a tolerance to modafinil if you take it for extended periods. This is especially true when taking modafinil as a smart drug. Overall, most nootropics users find modafinil is best taken 1 to 3 days per week. This is also the dosing schedule we follow, and it allows us to experience insane cognitive benefits while ensuring that we don't build up any modafinil tolerance. Our team members have used this smart drug daily for weeks but found the intense cognitive benefits of modafinil begin to wear off after the first couple of weeks of daily use. Taking modafinil isn't an exact science. However, taking modafinil 1 to 3 times a week seems ideal when using the product as a nootropic. Don't hit the gym. Some people rave about modafinil's effects on their workouts. They find that this smart drug increases their focus, endurance, and the mind-body connection in the gym. For the most part, these people appear to be correct. Studies have shown that modafinil reduces the sensation of fatigue in the muscle, among other things. However, we wouldn't take modafinil before going to the gym. Here's why. Decreasing the sensation of fatigue in the muscles can lead to negative consequences, like exercising too intensely and injuring yourself. We find that joint pain increases when going to the gym after taking modafinil. We believe this is due to one's inability to feel fatigued while lifting. Yet, this isn't the only reason we caution against using modafinil in the gym. Quite frankly, if you're in the gym after taking modafinil, you're not using the benefits of the nootropic wisely. In our opinion, there are much better uses for modafinil than simply pumping iron. To make the best use of modafinil's cognitive benefits, we stick to academic or work-related tasks and tasks related to increasing productivity. No boozing. Modafinil may sound ideal for dealing with a hangover and staying productive, but we find that mixing the smart drug with booze is a no-go. Prescription drugs rarely mix well with booze, and modafinil is certainly no different. The main reason? Both modafinil and alcohol place extra strain on the liver. The liver metabolizes, breaks down, both of these substances after you ingest them. When using both modafinil and alcohol at the same time, the liver is put under undue stress. While we're not going to dive too much more into the science behind modafinil and alcohol here, we're firmly against combining the two. Not only are there health risks, but this is another example of how not to use modafinil wisely. We use modafinil for focus and drink when we want to be social. We don't combine the two. Get started before the kick. Many members of our team have fallen into the trap before. We've taken modafinil and then waited around for the effects to kick in. We want to feel the smart drug coursing through our veins and brains before we started work. It's wise to avoid this trap. Nobody wants to end up wasting 1 to 3 hours mindlessly surfing the web instead of being productive and getting stuff done. Modafinil tends to take an hour or so to kick in. However, if you're browsing the web or researching something interesting, you might find that moving to productive tasks becomes more of a chore once the drug kicks in. Imagine Modafinil beginning to work, and you're more fascinated by Airbnb rentals in Goa, India, than you are in working. Soon, you'd have 11 tabs open browsing the cost of living in the city and why India is a fantastic place to travel through. Just don't do it. Have a plan. This goes hand in hand with getting started right away. We make sure to plan out our day when taking Modafinil. In terms of how to take Modafinil effectively, this may be our most important rule. We write out what we want to accomplish the night before. We put together a full day plan that'll take 8-12 plus hours to complete. We'll keep this plan in plain view when working that day. Then when we accomplish each task, we cross it off the list. On Modafinil days, we'll find ourselves cruising through our list by following this plan. Planning is key to a productive day on Modafinil. Combine with coffee. In our view, the combo of Modafinil and coffee is God's gift to productivity. Caffeine seems to pair exceptionally well with smart drugs. In fact, many consider caffeine to be a nootropic by itself. Coffee is a powerful performance enhancer. Caffeine is even banned by the NCAA as a performance-enhancing drug at high levels of consumption. We'll drink anywhere from 1 to 4 cups of coffee on days when we take Modafinil. One can easily drink 1 to 2 cups of coffee after each meal to enhance the effects of Modafinil and increase cognitive enhancement. Mushroom coffee pairs exceptionally well with nootropics. Don't mix smart drugs. While we found mixing coffee with nootropics to be ideal, we do not combine other nootropics with Modafinil. On days when we're taking Modafinil, we don't need any other nootropics that day. We take the smart drug and drink a little coffee. That's really all we smart drug users need to succeed. An obvious rule is don't mix any other drugs with Modafinil, prescription or over-the-counter. Mixing smart drugs is not only unhealthy, but honestly, we find it simply unnecessary. The effects of 200 to 300 milligrams of Modafinil and a couple of cups of coffee are more than enough to get just about any user crazy productive and focused for 12 plus hours. Plan to sleep in. It is pretty likely that Modafinil is going to mess up your sleep schedule. That's just how a pharmaceutical drug created for shift work sleep disorder and sleep apnea works. Luckily, one can minimize the adverse sleep side effects of Modafinil with a few tips and tricks. For example, we plan to sleep the day after taking Modafinil. We never set the alarm. We don't stress out about getting to bed at a particular time. We just let the smart drug run its course and plan to sleep in. If you're struggling to sleep after using Modafinil, a supplement stack designed to help you fall asleep can be beneficial. We occasionally add in these 2 supplements to ensure that we get a good night's sleep. Cherry juice. Ashwagandha. Modafinil. Legal status. Modafinil is Schedule 4 in the United States. This means it is illegal to sell without a DEA license and illegal to buy or possess without a license or prescription. International law. Argentina. We have been told that Modafinil is regulated, but that lack of familiarity means pharmacists will sell it without a prescription. Australia. Modafinil is available by prescription as Modavigil. Canada. Modafinil is listed I of Schedule F of Canada's Food and Drug Regulations, requiring a prescription for human use and for veterinary use. Modafinil is not a controlled substance in Finland, though it is regulated as a prescription drug. As of February 2011, pharmacies in Finland do not carry Modafinil. Germany. In February 2008, Modafinil was removed from Germany's Anlage 3, similar to US Schedule IIIV, and is now available with a prescription only. Italy. Modafinil is available by prescription as Provigil only. Mexico. Modafinil is sold in Mexico as Modiadil, and it does not appear to be controlled. New Zealand. Modafinil is sold in NZ as Modavigil and is a prescription medicine. New Zealand's Medicines Act of 1981 states, no person shall, without reasonable excuse, import, procure, receive, store, use, or otherwise have in his possession, any prescription medicine. Romania. Modafinil is reportedly a controlled substance in Romania. One visitor reports that a family member was fined, to a maximum of €3,000, after ordering through the mail. Russia. Russia has added Modafinil to Schedule 2, banning it for personal possession, sale, and most medical use. Sweden. Reportedly a schedule for drug in Sweden. Prescribed for narcolepsy and hypersomnia and is sold in 100 mg tablets under the brand name Modiadil. Spain. One visitor tells us that they were able to purchase Modafinil over the counter from a pharmacy by indicating it was used to treat their narcolepsy, brand name Modiadil. Costs around €42 for 30 tablets of 100 mg Modafinil. Turkey. Multiple visitors have described that Modafinil is sold without prescription in pharmacies in Turkey. United Kingdom, Britain, Wales, Scotland. Available by prescription both from private physicians and NHS. Not scheduled, and the restrictions on prescribing were reduced in 2004. Cleared for personal imports from other countries. For more information and field guides, please comment and subscribe.